The unelected black-robe tyrannical inferior district trial court judge Karen Immelgut said not. During those months or years of appeal, I'm going to restrain Trump from deploying the National Guard. This Court of Appeals is saying, nope, we're not doing that. We're throwing out that restraining order. And during the months and years of argument on the merits, Trump will be allowed to deploy the National Guard. Of course, he's only calling out the National Guard for 60 days. 60 days. So it all becomes rather moot on the merits anyway. Is beyond judicial review. The unelected black-robe tyrannical inferior district trial court judges literally have no power here. They have no authority at all. The president's order federalizing the National Guard on September 26th, after more than 3 months of besiegement at the ICE facility in Portland, DHS sent a request to the Department of War requesting immediate and sustained assistance to safeguard federal personnel and facilities, not enforce immigration law, to safeguard federal personnel and facilities in the state of Oregon. They explained that the building has come under coordinated assault by violent groups actively aligned with a designated domestic terrorist organization, that's Antifa, of course, thanks to President Trump's designation, and that the Department of War's assistance was required to prevent the obstruction of lawful federal enforcement actions and to safeguard federal personnel, facilities, and operations. President Trump cited that request and directed Secretary of War Hegseth to coordinate the deployment of troops to Portland to protect the facility. Let's see. The Department of War contacted the Oregon Adjutant General, who's the director of the Oregon National Guard, to request that Oregon volunteer to deploy the National Guard in a non-federalized status, but the governor of Oregon rejected this request. So on September 8th, Secretary of War Hegseth issued a mobilization memorandum deploying 200 members of the Oregon National Guard into federal service for a period of 60 days. It relied on a June 7th memorandum by Trump temporarily authorizing the mobilization of National Guard to protect DHS and other government personnel on federal property. In that memorandum, President Trump cited several incidents of violence and disorder taking place across the country and invoked Statute 12406 to federalize National Guard members to temporarily protect ICE and government personnel, including the enforcement of federal law. In response, the state of Oregon and the city of Portland and the local police department immediately sued, alleging that Trump's actions federalizing the Oregon National Guard were ultra vires, beyond lawful authority, violated the 10th Amendment to the Constitution, violated the Administrative Procedure Act, violated the Posse Comitatus Act, and violated the separation of powers. All of this is nonsense. They also applied for a TRO, which the unelected black-robe tyrannical inferior district trial court judge Karen Immelgut issued on October 4th. The TRO enjoins the Article 2 executive branch president, commander-in-chief Trump, from implementing the memorandum ordering the federalization and deployment of Oregon National Guard members. Judge Karen Immelgut determined that she concluded that Oregon and Portland were likely to succeed on their merits, that the president's order was unlawful and not authorized by Section 12406, and thus also violates the 10th Amendment. So all these complaints here are really all contingent on Trump not having authority under 12406. If you believe Trump has authority under 12406, that wipes out all of these complaints. So these are only viable if you believe Trump's violating 12406. That same day, Trump and Hegseth and Noem appealed and filed an emergency motion to stay the TRO. Later that day, Oregon sought a second TRO because although Trump had been enjoined from federalizing and deploying the Oregon National Guard, they sent 100 federalized members of the California National Guard. So then Portland and Oregon went back to Judge Karen Immelgut, said, no, help us. And she issued a second TRO preventing Trump from deploying any federalized National Guard in Oregon. And so the defendants, Trump has not appealed that second TRO. Why has Trump not appealed that second TRO? Remember, the first TRO was specific to Oregon National Guard. The second TRO was specific to California and really I think Texas National Guard too. But Trump appealed the Oregon TRO, the Oregon National Guard TRO, but not the California National Guard TRO. Why is that? Well, he may not have to, for one thing. If the Oregon TRO is thrown out, he can just deploy the Oregon National Guard. Then he doesn't need the California National Guard. Also, the legal reasoning that would justify his deployment of the Oregon National Guard would also, by extension, apply to his deployment of the California National Guard. So you don't need two separate decisions on it. Standard of review. We review Trump's request to throw out the restraining order under the following four factors. And really the only important one is Trump likely to win on the merits? Is he right? Is he right that he has the authority under 12406 to deploy National Guard troops? But the other factors the court will consider is whether he will be irreparably harmed if the TRO is not thrown out, whether throwing out the TRO will substantially harm Oregon and Portland, and where the public interest lays. What's more important to the public? The binding effect of Newsom. Newsom is that earlier Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals decision involving Trump's deployment of the California National Guard to LA for the riots there. Gavin Newsom had sued him in federal court. The federal court issued an injunction against Trump. Trump appealed it to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, a different three-judge panel than this one, although this is also in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. And that different three-judge panel ruled that Trump had the authority to deploy the National Guard. But importantly, that three-judge panel said, as a preliminary matter, we do have the authority to review Trump's calling out the National Guard. Trump is claiming that the federal courts have no role here. That Newsom decision said, no, we have a role. We have a role. We're allowed to review the president calling out the National Guard. But we have to give such deference to the president's judgment that the only way we could override his calling out the National Guard is if there was zero evidence to support calling out the National Guard. If there's any evidence to support calling out the National Guard, we have to defer to the president. But we do have that much of a review role, Newsom said. Not Newsom, the governor, Newsom, the Court of Appeals decision. The president's arguing the courts have no role, right? So even though he won in Newsom, the federal court said, yeah, after reviewing, we agree with the president. He can call out the National Guard. The president still objects. He says, no, I agree with the outcome, but I have the right to call out the National Guard, whether you like it or not, So that's a wrinkle in the earlier Newsom decision. The majority, the 2-1 majority judges here who voted in favor of Trump are going to let him deploy the National Guard in Portland. To get to that majority, they both had to agree that, all right, we're going to pretend that we're bound by the decision of that earlier Court of Appeals Newsom decision, that we do have authority as federal judges to review Trump's decision, but we'll only override that decision if it's completely irrational. As we'll see, one of those two judges here, Judge Ryan Nelson, actually disagrees with that. He's going along with it so that Trump will be allowed to deploy the National Guard to Oregon. But he really believes that, in fact, the federal courts have no role here. And he wrote like a 28-page concurrence making that argument here. That's what we're going to cover in the bonus part of today's show. So, but they want to make clear to the reader that they do consider themselves bound by the Newsom decision for purposes of this majority win for Trump. Before addressing those stay factors, the factors determining whether they should throw out the injunction, we note that our analysis here is circumscribed by our legal conclusions. That's the royal our, the royal we. It was a different three-judge panel, but also the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. By our legal conclusions on the same issues in the Newsom decision. In Newsom, we held that neither the political question doctrine nor the statutory text precludes judicial review of the president's decision to invoke 12406 to federalize the National Guard. So because we believe we have the right to judicial review, the claims of Portland and Oregon are justiciable, subject to judicial review, and the president's decision to federalize the National Guard is subject to judicial review. At oral argument, Trump's lawyer noted that they intend to challenge that conclusion on the merits in Newsom, but they agreed that we could view these holdings as binding here because they feel they're going to win anyway. That even if they pretend that they're subject to review, the evidence is so in favor of Trump that he's going to win regardless. But they disagree that federal judge review is appropriate. Second, with respect to the earlier Newsom decision, we address there whether we owe the president's determination deference, and if so, how much. In answering that question, we considered the history of Congress's delegation of its constitutional power to call forth the militia to the president, the delegation of the power to the president, and the cases interpreting those delegations, particularly Martin v. Mott, Luther v. Borden, Martin and Luther. We held that our review of the president's determinations in this context is especially deferential. We must give a great level of deference to the president's determination that a predicate condition under 12406 to call out the National Guard exists, and the president's determination that an exigency exists must be given significant deference. But in Newsom, we also rejected the government's argument that the president could federalize the National Guard on no evidence whatsoever, purely his own judgment, and Trump's argument that the courts could not review a decision that was obviously absurd or made in bad faith. Again, the president says the federal courts have no role here. In sum, in Newsom, we, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, concluded that the courts may review the president's determination to ensure that it reflects a colorable assessment of the facts and law within a range of honest judgment. In other words, that it's not completely insane, based on nothing, fabricated, speculative. There must be some evidence to support calling out the National Guard. The courts can review that much. Finally, in Newsom, we rejected the argument that 12406 Section 3 requires total or near total interference with the president's ability to execute the laws of the United States. Again, this is an argument made by these feckless, unelected, black-robe, tyrannical, inferior district federal trial court judges. They say, well, 12406 says the president can call out the National Guard only if he's unable with the regular forces to execute federal law, to carry out federal law. But what's unable mean? Unable, according to these federal judges, means completely unable. So if President Trump tries 1,000,000 times to enforce the law and is able to do it even once, well, then he's not completely unable to enforce the law and he can't call out the National Guard. So under those federal judges' obviously ridiculous standard, only a total inability would trigger the president's ability to call out the National Guard. This has never been the standard applied in any president calling out the National Guard under 12406 at any previous time in American history. But of course, they make up new rules when it comes to Trump. We held in Newsom that while mere minimal interference with the execution of the laws is not by itself enough to invoke 12406.3 and call out the National Guard, the statute does not require that the president be completely precluded from executing the relevant laws in order to call out the National Guard, nor does it suggest that activation is inappropriate so long as any continued execution of the laws is feasible. Applying these legal conclusions from the earlier Newsom decision, we turn first and most important to the first and most important Niken factors, whether they should throw out the restraining order, and that is whether defendants Trump has made a strong showing that he is likely to succeed on the merits. And this is really the only one of the factors that controls. Is Trump likely to win on the merits? Although the others are interesting, so we'll cover those as well. The president's authority to federalize the National Guard is statutory, not constitutional. It comes from 12406. The Constitution vests the power to call forth the militia in the Article I legislative branch. Congress has enacted several statutes, including 12406, which delegate the calling forth power to the president. So Congress has the power, but they can assign it to the president, the commander-in-chief, under certain circumstances, as set forth in the statute. Statute 12406 authorizes the president to federalize the National Guard in 3 circumstances. One of those is invasion by a foreign nation. That's not in play here. The other is a paragraph 2, a rebellion or danger of rebellion. And another is paragraph 3, the president's unable with the regular forces to execute the laws of the federal government. Trump argues the circumstances at the Portland facility from June to September established that Trump's actions calling out the National Guard were authorized by two sections of the statute. First, by 12406(2), rebellion or danger of rebellion, and second, by 12406(3), president unable with the regular forces to execute the laws. Because we determined, as did Newsom, the earlier Court of Appeals case, that 12406(3) allows us to conclude Trump is likely to prevail, we don't need to bother doing the analysis for the rebellion provision.